From the hills of northwest Arkansas to the flatlands of the Delta, it's only 50 days till the kickoff of high school football in Arkansas. This is Hometown Sports Volume 2, only on the Arkansas Sports Network. Hometown Sports Volume 2 is being brought to you by D3 Auto Sales. Lifted, leveled, and ready to roll. Drive different. By Tyson Foods. Passionate about food, committed to you, feeding the world like family. By Arkansas Tech University. Financial flexibility, academic excellence. Learn more, earn more. And by Metcalf Trucking Company. Arkansas trucking delivered reliably and with integrity.
Hello, welcome back here as we are going to get you prepared for Murfreesboro, and I'm going to get this link out. I've got a couple links that I got to get out here. Number one, the Van Buren site is going right now, and you can watch that on the Arkansas Sports Network High School page, not page, but the YouTube account. Um, and then we're about to get this one live here on the Facebook page. Get this link out. So anyway, while we're doing that, we just wanted to come and talk to you about what we've seen so far and get you ready for the Murfreesboro interview. And, again, today has been a very impressive day.
Yeah, we talked to a lot of really good teams today. Um, Start with Mount Ida, the one we just finished off with a couple hours ago. They are probably, if I had to pick a favorite right now, it would be them to win Class 2A. I mean, I think they're extremely talented. They're going to have EPC and Junction City and Carlisle standing in their way, I think. And I think those would be the top teams in each conference, probably. Um, but you know, and but they've got it down to a T every year. We talked about it right after they left. We said they've had those guys running the same offense since third grade. They keep their groups together and they really work hard to get their guys strong for that physical offense that they run. And so, getting to talk to them and figure out how they operate is really cool. I'm a big fan of Coach White's. I think that he's a really good guy who does things the right way. And he's just really been a really great coach over there at Mount Ida. Does a lot of good stuff. And then we're gonna have Murfreesboro here in a minute. I think that they could have a very good year. They made a great coaching hire, hiring Coach Turley.
Yes.
And whenever you lose a guy like Coach Cheshire, who really had turned that program into something special, especially on the defensive side of the ball, and then you bring in Coach Jay Turley to come back to Murfreesboro after he had one stint there already, and it was pretty successful at the time that he was there. Now you bring him back, and Murfreesboro, I think, is going to flourish. They have the talent. We've been hearing, I believe this is the class. It's either this year or next year that they have a class that they are extremely excited about getting out on the football field, and they haven't been slouches in the least uh,
Mm-hmm.
in recent years. They've won back-to-back conference championships, I believe, and they kind of stunned Junction City last year in the regular season to pull. I know they lost to Mineral Springs at the end of the season, but I'm kind of um, I'm kind of drawing a blank here on whether Junction or Murfreesboro ended up pulling out that conference title, but
It's Murfreesboro.
Murfreesboro,
Yeah, Murfreesboro pulled out the conference title again.
yeah,
Second year in a row for that.
yeah. So, and then we brought in Hot Springs and Hot Springs Lakeside. We had two rivals in the room at the same time, which was a cool dynamic to have. And
That was the one time that this whole thing that you could tell there was a little bit of friction there
tension.
between, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
a little bit of friction between the two teams. So that was an interesting deal there. And, they play each other the very last game of the season. That's the rivalry game week. And so that was interesting. That was fun. That was a cool deal there. Um, I have just been impressed with the players that have come through here again, not really thinking about, hey, you're going to get this commitment and these type of players. And then when you get to see these kids up close, they're massive. They're huge.
Yeah, Tucker
Yeah,
Young, talk about
big,
huge. Yeah,
big kids. What LeBron? What was his last name there from Hot Springs? Uh, what do you have that? No, you don't have. Well, do we have it?
I have it somewhere. Pull it up here.
Anyway, huge. They said 6'8", huh?
LeBron Moticure.
Yeah, like 6'8", huge kids, 310's what he said.
Mm-hmm.
My gosh, man, got it. There you go. He's got it right there.
Yep. LeBron Moticure. Is that how he said his last name?
Yeah, yeah. Should have named him Michael. I'm just kidding. I'm joking. I'm joking. I'm joking. But anyway, we're excited here at ASN about football season. I mean, this is kind of the unofficial beginning for us, and you're probably going to see a lot of this thing throughout the year, or at least till football season. You'll see a lot of things that were said by coaches and players alike, and we're going to get a lot of these clips out there for you. So we just want to make sure that you're aware of that. Again, we've got the Van Buren site going right now. Oh, um, Waldron is there right now. Coach Doug Milholland is there, talking about his team, and then I think they have one more after that, or are they done
I
after
think
that?
Waldron is their last one. I think we
Yeah,
go out. I think we go longer than they do today.
yeah. So anyway, it's been a great week, better week than I thought it would be, just because we've been able to just see so many players, kids, understand who these teams are a little bit more, get a better idea of what's going on with them, and there's going to be some stuff in the coming weeks that we're going to be doing. I think you're going to be interested, so you need to make sure and watch the Arkansas Sports Network. I think there's going to be some stuff that you're going to be very, very interested in. Um, anything? I mean, you've touched on Mount Ida, and anything that stuck out to you, maybe beyond today and this week.
Yeah, Little Rock. We'll start with Little Rock because that was a busy, busy, busy day, and it was a fun day. Don't get me wrong, I had a blast doing that day. It was amazing. Getting to have Randy Pickle there with us was real fun, and getting to meet some some new coaches, some new guys that um, came in and really got involved with us for the first time was awesome. That's what we're always trying to do. So, and then getting to talk to some really talented guys. I think Evan Goodwin might be the biggest person I've ever seen in my entire life. I mean, he
Yeah,
was about 6'7", 6'8". I don't know what he's listed at, but that's just my guess. He was just an enormous human being. I mean, he looked like he could have been a professional wrestler or something because
right.
he was
Huge.
and everybody in that room was just enamored by how I mean he looks like a prototypical SEC offensive lineman, even though he's going to SMU. I mean I'm sure he's got offers to play uh, in the SEC, no doubt, because he is not only is he talented, but he's got the body for it. And so, um, Bauxite, I'm sure they're absolutely ecstatic to have him on their football team this year. And then Anthony Kennedy, Miami commit, came in. He was extremely uh, you could tell just extremely well built for playing football.
Hmm.
Dude was, I mean, just a large human being again, and was just real strong kid who's done a lot of really good work. Went to another guy who's transferring from Maumelle to Little Rock Central this year, and I think Central with some of the guys that they've been getting in the transfer portal. I don't know if it's much of a transfer portal because there's no uh, official listings and ratings and all
Right.
that stuff. But it's just what we call it, just because even in high school ball, people are transferring more than they once did. It's just the reality of the
Hmm.
situation. So in the Arkansas high school transfer portal per se, Evan Goodwin and Anthony Kennedy are two of the biggest gets, and T.J. Hodges as well are some of the biggest transfers of the off season. And getting to talk to Bryant was a cool deal because they are one of the most prolific schools in the history of Arkansas high school football.
And
And
really in the nation right now. In fact,
absolutely.
I don't know. I haven't heard of any. Of course, I don't follow other states that well, but I haven't heard one school in the nation that's won 6 out of the last 7, especially in the largest classification. You see that sometimes in the smaller classifications, but in the largest classifications, it's really unusual.
hmm And they've just been dominant in the way they do it too. They dominate the line of scrimmage. They know what their brand of football
Hmm.
is. And just now, really, what makes them extremely dangerous is that they now have a four-star running back in the backfield. They had Daniel Anderson, who ended up
Right.
committing to Notre Dame last season, so he was really talented. But TJ Hodges is, I think, just on a whole different level. I mean, I've been able to see him in person, and the speed that he has is on a whole different level. The athletic ability
Yeah.
that he has is on a whole different level. He's one of those guys that whenever you see him on the football field, you say, "There's no way that guy doesn't have Division One offers," because he's that kind of
Oh,
special.
absolutely.
And so, them adding TJ Hodges was a huge pickup for them. And then um, we talked to Mayflower, who I think is going to have a really good year. Um, I think Coach Emerson is going to do some really good things with them. They bring back a lot of strength on the offensive line, a lot of solid players for them who have a lot of experience. And then talk to Conway Christian, who I'll try my best not to talk too much about. But they won state last year, bring back a solid core of guys this year to compete. And talking to Coach White from Mount Ida, he's not, he's still worried about getting past them. He knows it's not going to be a cakewalk, even with all the seniors that they lost last year. So, um, and then getting to talk to Little Rock Christian, Coach Dustin Grimmett. I thought that was a cool one that we got to do because they're another one that's usually in the championship conversation every year in the highest classification. And Coach Grimmett um, followed Coach Eric Cohue,
Yeah.
who had a really good career there
Mhm.
at Little Rock Christian. And um, he's done a good job keeping that standard held high for the Warriors. Um, Trying to think back to who all we had that day because it was so jam packed. Little Rock Southwest, another team that we had, and Little
Mhm.
Rock Central, two Little Rock teams. Start with Southwest. They're a team that's young. They've got to establish their culture and who they are as a program, really. But I think that Coach Lewis is doing a good job. He's really got his guys on the right track. They just haven't really in the past had a whole complete team to compete with the teams that are in that conference. You think about them, they get put down in a different conference, they probably win a lot more ball games
Yeah.
because that is the SEC of Arkansas high school football. I would you I would be absolutely shocked if anybody could find a harder conference in America because that is a tough conference to play in.
Yeah.
You talk about a team that's won six out of the past was seven,
7.
six out of
Mhm.
the past seven state championships in that class. You have Pulaski Academy, who competes year in and year out, even though they haven't won one in 7A yet.
Mhm.
They've only been there for a couple of years. I think that last year was their first year in Class 7A. They they've only won one in 6A, and they got bumped up because they won one. So they're perennial winners. And even though Coach Kelly isn't there anymore, Coach Lucas does a phenomenal job coaching over at Pulaski Academy. And then you have Little Rock Christian, who was good enough to be reclassified as well. So that tells you everything you need to know about them. They're perennial winners as well. Competed with Greenwood for some state championships in 6A,
Mhm.
as did Pulaski Academy, and they won one of those. And then Little Rock Christian was the other team that competed with them for a state title. And then you have Conway, who's coached by Buck James, who won five of those state championships with Bryant as their head coach, and now he's at Conway,
Mhm.
um, and then you have Central, you have Southwest. Those two teams are doing a good job building back their program. And you have Cabot, who's coached by Scott Reed, who is a real great coach, I think. And a lot of people are really high on Cabot coming into
Mhm.
this season. So, you know, you just can't catch a break in that conference. You really can't. And I think that you think about teams that are just all stacked together like that. It's hard to come out on top. It's hard to come out on top because you're playing some of the best coaches and the best teams every week. So even though you might be the weakest team in that conference, you might still have a real good football team that you've worked real hard with and they've worked real hard. Just, is what it is
Right.
at some point.
Well,
So,
somebody has to finish last.
yeah,
Somebody has to finish first, and then there has to be some that finish on the in
yeah.
between.
And we didn't even
It,
talk about North Little Rock, who's
right.
got Brad Boulding now.
Right. Yeah, I know. And North Little Rock's going to have their hands full for a little bit. I think maybe year one might not be as successful, but Brad Bolding is going to get it going over there. I mean, that guy has made the semifinals of the or the playoffs like 12 years in a row or something like that. This one might be the year that they don't. But um, I think as time goes on, year after year, you're going to see North Little Rock climb right back up there. I mean, he didn't go back there not to win, and he will win there. I mean, he had a great thing going over at Parkview, and he was able to he walked away from that and went to North Little Rock. I mean, he didn't go over there to lose because he could have kept winning at Parkview, which that's another interesting story there with his brother Bobby over there now. Bobby has had ultimate success in his career, and I mean, I think everybody kind of thinks Parkview is going to fall off. If they fall off, if they fall off, it might be for 1 year, maybe, and then they're going to turn around and come back because Bobby's that good. And so that's an interesting look at what we've got in the 5A for sure. um, I love watching 4A and 3A football, and of course we've talked to a lot of 4A7 conference members here, and really liked listening to Ashdown and what they have. They've got some tradition down there. They're a winning program down there. Interestingly enough, with them though, they're competing against teams that have maybe 60 and 70 kids on the sideline, and he said they've got 33. Now, with that being said, if you got 22 that can play, then that doesn't matter all that much. But with that said, they're up against the eight ball a little bit because they are a little bit light with talent.
Yeah, you look at 4A schools, some of these 4A schools, I mean, I talked to Coach Adam Kirby from Magnolia yesterday, who's a 5A school. They have 116 kids coming out to play at a 5A school. So, and it seems like the general trend is that numbers are up for a lot of teams this season, which is what we like to see. We like to see a lot of kids playing ball out in the fall. So, um, it's really, really good to see that numbers are coming up for a lot of teams. Of course, one of the big shocking ones that was that Coach Bolding, when he went to North Little Rock, doubled pretty much the number of kids they
Right.
had coming out to play at practice from the year before. So, um, and you really, really, I'm glad that that's a strong trend because I think that football is a great thing. It just teaches a lot of really good things, and the coaches have talked about that a lot. So, um, it's it's just Ashdown being in that situation, it doesn't help. It doesn't help them. But we've seen teams like Mount Ida. I was talking to Coach White. They won a lot of ball games with a couple players. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
more than they needed to have on the field at a time, 13 players
Right.
or so. And that's a situation that a lot of 2A teams are in often because at Conway Christian, we were in it when I was a junior, and at Mount Ida, they've been in that situation before. I know at Hazen, the year they won the state title, they really didn't have that many players on the roster, and they still played some really good football. And so a lot of teams just have to deal with that sometimes with these lower classifications. And it just is what it is. You have to make the most of what you have. And I think the coaches that do that, that make the most of what they have, are the ones that really separate themselves from um, from the others. Well, talking about it's what Phil Jackson did whenever he had
Mm-hmm.
in basketball. I know this is a football show, but it's just the same thing that he did. Whenever he had Kobe and Michael, he maximized their talent, and that's what good coaches do, is they maximize the talent of the guys that they do have and don't worry about what's out of their control. So,
I'd like to remind you again, we've got Murfreesboro coming up here very quickly, and we feel like Coach Jay Turley and his bunch will be here pretty soon. So we're looking forward to talking to them. Man, again, I've had a great time. We got Clinton tomorrow, so it's not over yet. Don't have a lot of coaches up there. We've got a few though. Heber Springs, Clinton, um, Quitman. Let's see here. Who else was it? Perryville, I believe. Let me look. I got to look at my list now. I'm calling it off the top of my head. I should have not done that, and I just closed it like an idiot. Anyway, we've got at least those four, and I'll get you the other one here in just a moment. I've got so many windows open. I'll just do it here. But anyway, we've got at least five up there. I've heard a rumor of another one coming, but I don't want to throw that out there because I don't know if they'll come or not for sure. But in the end, here, we kind of waited around to see how this would turn out, and it ended up being pretty good because we're going to have 70 plus coaches by the time it's all said and done. We've got Mountain View, Quitman, Clinton, Perryville, and Heber Springs tomorrow. And then I've got a rumor of one more that signed up. And if you want to sign up for Clinton, or you want to hear about Clinton or hear about a team in your area, in that north central Arkansas area, make sure and get your team to sign up. We've got spots open. So, looking at this, I guess we're going to go ahead and take a break. We're live. We're getting ready for Murfreesboro, and as soon as they get here, we can get the graphics up. We'll get going. Again, make sure that you're looking for new content here on the Arkansas Sports Network coming up as football season continues to get closer and closer. It's going to be a great time here at ASN, and we look forward to bringing you all kinds of coverage right here. So stay tuned with us. We'll be back as soon as Murfreesboro gets here.